Holy crap, what's going on at Intel? 21,000 workers are being laid off this week, and this is in addition to the 15,000 people that were already cut last August. It's mass chaos at Intel right now, and it's all due to cost-cutting measures by a new CEO. And this is the architect, Lip Bhutan, who is the new CEO of Intel. He's only been there for a month, and he's already completely gutting the workforce. Now, he infamously had a major fallout in the board meetings last year. He's actually sat on the board of directors last year and had a major fallout. He was trying to get them to lean the workforce out at that point in time, and he ended up actually leaving the board. What ended up happening afterward is the previous CEO ended up reducing the workforce by 15,000 people back in August. Somehow he makes it back into the organization as a CEO. His first move is to eliminate 21,000 people. Now, this comes at a time when companies like TSMC and NVIDIA, major chip manufacturers, are doubling down on their manufacturing capabilities. They've announced major investments in infrastructure. Intel has been struggling. They've been struggling to keep up, and this action obviously plays right in line with it. It's not just that, they're also divesting major business units. And this is just a sign of a company that has lost its identity and is clearly in crisis. And I think this has to do with adapting to the more modern AI world. Intel has clearly fallen behind their competitors. And I can only imagine how uncomfortable it must be for Intel workers to go into work today as layoff survivors. It's got to be pretty brutal.
More than 20% of its entire workforce, fueling more fears of a downturn. Keep in mind that Intel already eliminated 15,000 jobs last fall. This most recent round of firings would bring the total jobs eliminated to 35,000. But more than a downturn, which has already been happening, these firings show that Intel is a once great company now in major decline. Last year, Intel lost $19 billion, and their sales have fallen by about a third in the past 4 years. But we know why. Their chips are not as good as NVIDIA's or the other ones that you can buy in the market. Now, Oregon is expected to be the hardest hit by these layoffs. Intel employs over 20,000 people in Oregon, more than any other business in the state. Chips are Oregon's most valuable product and export. Now, even though Intel has already been in decline, the trade war is not helping it at all. Retaliatory tariffs in other countries will make Intel chips much more expensive relative to other options. This will cause Intel sales to crash even further. Intel, you're facing some bad times, but you are already in decline due to your own
Hey, Intel CEO. I know you're coming in and you're excited about your new job and you're tasked with turning the company around, but please, why is your first line of action to cut heads? Way to go in building trust. First line of action is to cut 12,000 employees. I'm going to give you some top tips that are actually going to help you turn your company around without having to cut heads. You ready? Number 1, freeze hiring. You have about 120,000 employees. Your average salary is probably $100,000 to $150,000. If you freeze hiring, you probably have a 5 to 10% vacancy rate. That's over $1 billion. $1 billion annually if you just freeze hiring. Freeze hiring for a period of time so you can get your ducks in a row. Next up, my favorite topic. Stop forcing everyone to return to office and get rid of your real estate. Millions of dollars. Millions. I did a video a couple weeks ago when I was tasked with cutting heads as a CHRO, and instead of doing that, I took the P&L, flipped it on its head, looked at our largest costs, and found $12 million in a 12-hour period. You can do it too. There are inefficiencies everywhere, from software, from vendor relations, from partners, from absolute waste. You've got different partnerships and vendor relationships with people around the organization. I guarantee you will find millions of dollars. If the HR girl can find millions of dollars in a 12-hour period, I know you can do it. This is my favorite one. Flatten your organization. You have too many layers. Every company at your size does. This actually increases decision-making, improves processes, boosts morale, and quite honestly, just makes everything better. We don't need more leaders. You're making a really, really big mistake by this being your first line of action. You're coming in, cutting heads. You're losing all trust in the organization that you didn't even have yet. But even if they trusted you before you came in, your new organization, 120,000 people, will not drive your business forward in the way that you want them to because you haven't established trust. In fact, you've done the opposite and you've broken it.
121,000 jobs. Let that sink in. Many news outlets are now reporting that since Trump took office 3 months ago, 121,000 federal employees have been fired. So this is the president who claims he's going to create more jobs. And he's coming out of the starting gate with a negative number, 121,000 jobs. He and Doge have eliminated, and they haven't stopped yet. And I don't care if they're federal jobs. Jobs are jobs. If the federal government can create jobs for people to give them a livelihood, then so be it. And many of these federal jobs are in ruby red states. And many of the people who have lost their jobs are MAGA and Trump supporters. There's a difference. The MAGA are cult. And you're also got Republicans and then independents. I mean, he is completely destroying not only his future, but the future of the Republican Party. Just remember that, folks. It's not even May 1st. More than 121,000 jobs Donald Trump has fired, and it's him. The buck stops at Donald Trump. He has fired 121,000 Americans, thinking he's magically going to get companies to shut down their factories overseas and suddenly build them overnight over here. And, it'll be like a Mardi Gras. And, it'll just be jobs, jobs, jobs forever. Yeah. Not one company is shutting down their factory to move here to the United States.
So be prepared. The unemployment rate is fixing to increase pretty good because corporations, when they're announcing their earnings report, you can pretty much tell by that of how their future looks for the next year. Well, the earning reports are showing that corporations lost tons of money. So the quickest way for a company to cut their cost is what they'll do. They'll cut costs before they just try to make more money. Is they're going to cut employees out. And who are the employees they're going to cut out? They're going to cut out the most expensive employees they have on their payroll. And it's going to put people who are the Gen X age. Those are the people who are going to lose their jobs because they can be replaced by people who earn much less money than they do. But this is all because of all the tariffs and the policy changes when it comes to doing business in America. It has tied the hands of so many corporations of being able to increase their sales across the world because the world isn't buying. So this is another thing to just add on to the pile of what poor economic policy will do to a country. And we're getting ready to find out. Looking forward to that jobs report coming in May.
One of the main reasons is aiming to eliminate bureaucracy at the struggling chip maker, according to the person with the knowledge of the matter. The move is part of the bid to streamline management and rebuild an engineering-driven culture. The person said, asking not to be identified because the plans are private. It will be the first major restructuring order under the new CEO. And I can't lie, guys, I think we're officially in a recession. I've seen so many companies looking to commit layoffs, people going back to the office, and all these companies saying, yeah, we need to streamline, we need to restructure, etc. And the maddest thing is the cutbacks follow an effort last year to slash about 15,000 jobs, a round of layoffs announced in August. And the way the job market is looking, there's not a lot of jobs out there at the moment. So I feel sad for the people who are going to be affected by this layoff. And this is what happens when you don't keep an eye on one of your competitors. The company has struggled to catch up with Nvidia in AI computing that contribute to straight 3 years of sales declines and mounting red ink. So if you work at Intel, fingers crossed your job is not affected.
Hey, just asking for a friend. What are you supposed to do when you lose your job that means the world to you? Because I am truly heartbroken. This is the first job that I've had that I felt like I was making a big difference. And it was just ripped away from me today. Ugh, this sucks.
I'm in the barbershop today. I'm getting out the chair. A dude came in. He said they laid off 30% of my fucking company because of tariffs. We looked. We said, God damn. We said, did you make it? He said, yes, I'm good. 30% of the company, right? So that has to be a startup of some sort. But just think about 30% of your workforce getting clipped. Because whatever industry, company he works for is getting, they're getting abused that much by these tariffs. One thing that I always say about corporate layoffs is once that stock price really starts to go down, that's the first indicator, right? Investors, shareholders, they want to see a change. And the easiest thing to get off them books is employee salary. So you get clipped. The second thing, you know, I'm not a tariff expert on the industries and all of that, but yeah, that's actually gonna cause hell. A lot of it.
You know, Intel has 108,000 employees, so we're talking about over 20,000 people who will be losing their jobs this week. And their big pivot is going to be towards AI. So you can bet they're going to be hiring people who are either like building AI tools, who really understand machine learning, or who know how to use AI to increase their effectiveness. Now, y'all, I don't want to sugarcoat this, but if you want to be successful in this job market, you're going to need to do a couple of things. One, if you want to be successful, particularly in a tech environment, you need to be using AI. You need to understand how it works. You need to understand how people in your industry are using it, and you need to find ways to use it so that you can get more done with fewer resources. Because if you're not able to do that, they will fire you and replace you with someone who can. And you need to come to terms with the fact that if you live in the United States in 2025, you can't really count on your employer, nor can you count on your government to take care of you. Most countries have those social safety nets. Most countries have more supports in place, so the government steps in if an employer isn't providing for someone. And they have more regulations making it harder for employees to be laid off or fired. That's not the case in the US, and it's only going to get worse under this administration. So make sure that you are always networking. Your LinkedIn and your resume are always ready to go. Apply for jobs regularly so that you can keep a pulse on the market and you're on different people's radar. Build up a personal brand, build up some contract work, things that you can lean on if needed. I don't want to paint a grim picture of things, but this is just the reality, and with the market headed in the direction that it is, it's only going to get worse. So prepare yourself, make sure that you are putting yourself and your needs first.
I've applied to over 100 jobs off of Indeed, Handshake, my university's job board, and guess how many jobs I've gotten? None. At this point, applying for jobs kind of feels like I'm just sending it out into the void, because either when I hear back, it's a denial, or if I actually get an interview well, just don't get the next interview. At this point, I might start my own business. I don't really know what it's gonna end up being. I started getting these jobs off Side Shift. My best friends made it, but like I'm not even posting this to give them like clout or anything. But there's so many creator jobs on there that are so easy, and I've legitimately had amazing success with them. And so I'll kind of check back a week or two, let you know how those jobs are going, but probably check those out if you're looking for a job.
I did some digging, and there's 4 major reasons why they're doing it. Number 1, the new CEO is laying off most of its middle management, and I think that's where a lot of companies are going to go. They're starting to realize that if you're not an individual contributor or upper level like VP C-suite, then you're kind of made redundant. Number 2, and most importantly, they lost $1.6 billion in the second quarter of 2024. So middle management, sales, marketing, it's all getting cut. Number 3, their competitors have significant growth in the chip market. AMD, Nvidia, Apple have all been booming right now. And number 4, they're just adding on to what they did last year. In August of 2024, they laid off 15,000 people. So they're just continuing their efforts, I guess. Any of you Intel folks seeing this, or if you're laid off, just shoot me an email, see how I can help.
I just got a call from my work, and they let me know that I was getting laid off today, and so I was laid off from work today, and it's a lot. Like, you know, there's the fires going on in LA. My birthday just happened a few days ago. I thought this was going to be my year, and I just got laid off. I've been at this company for over 6 years. And, you know, I don't even know what to do. Obviously, I have to file for unemployment. I'm just, like, in shock.